I am in the Tibetan Buddhist sphere of influence in northeast India. Buddha upheld peace over everything else, and the monasteries reflect it in every way. The only sound is the fluttering of prayer flags. If Guru Padmasambhava is frowning and holds a fierce skull battle, it is to inflict fear on the demons within. Kali is fierce looking too, as are other tantric deities, for the same reason. After these demons of hatred, jealousy, anger, ignorance are conquered, one becomes a being of love, a bodhisattva, such as Avalokiteshwar. All spiritual paths have taught love, and from it flows peace, harmony, progress. The greater battle is the inner jihad, says Islam. Ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the best way. Bhishma counseled Yudhishthira in the battlefield of Kurukshetra while he lay dying, himself a victim of the opposite of ahimsa. Lord Krishna, as negotiator, had asked for a pittance from the usurper Duryodhan, but was told not even the land on the tip of a needle would be yielded to him. Such is the pitiable state of humans. Wars happen due to inner conditions in man. The insecure, cowardly savage who hates because it takes guts to love. Hitler was driven by a philosophy that said man's manhood needs strife to shine, otherwise he is putty in the hands of others. Hitler lost the war, as have all those that have enemies. In short, all wars are lost in the long run. Some civil war-torn nations have promoted football fields to direct the aggressive energies, and there are games that are, in truth, gladiator fights between men. These are ways to contain the belligerent urge, but not transform it, or use this vitality for constructive work. The true knight in shining armor is not the crusader that pits one religion against another, but the chivalrous one who treats all equally well. The Vedanta says, when you have no sense of the other, then you have no fear of the other. You are then free of delusion and can see unity everywhere. Tibet suffered a blow when the Chinese occupied it and tried to eradicate its pacific religion. But a religion that has been around for 2500 years and that teaches peace and harmony cannot be politically driven out by any temporary upstart. In fact, the diaspora of monks and the appeal of the Dalai Lama have only spread the word of peace. The meditation thankas and mandalas are found in every nook of the world. For people are attracted to beautiful things as they are to beautiful concepts. The youngest religion of the world is Tibetan Buddhism, which comes after generations of practitioners of older forms of Buddhism. Emperor Ashoka spread Buddhism some 2500 years after Buddha's parinirvana. All of India's neighbors were directly influenced by these missions, and they still practice the old Theravada form of Buddhism. In the next wave, Mahayana Buddhism was born, replete with mythologies of bodhisattvas, as in the Jataka tales. It spread from northwest India to China, and from China to Indochina, Korea, and Japan. In the third wave, a tantric master from India, Guru Padmasambhava, travelled to the hidden kingdom of Tibet and married Tantra to Buddhism. Thus was born Vajrayana Buddhism, which later travelled to Mongolia. Tibet has a non tantric form of Buddhism too, called Prajnanayana. Vajrayana has four schools: the Sakya, Nyingma, Kagyu, and Gelug. The Dalai Lamas are from the Gelug lineage. There is no conflict between the various strands of Buddhism or Buddhism and other religions. In fact, most people practice a syncretic religion made up of all the religions that have touched their lands. I have visited and lived in many countries, including those that encompass all shades of Buddhism. And I feel Buddhists are less aggressive compared to the people of other religions and those without any religion. They are, in general, from my perspective as a conscientious observer, less selfish, less consumerist, less greedy, less insecure, and they don't rush around generating stress for themselves and all they touch. They take the time to empathize with nature and people. They have a sense of beauty. They value silence and are conscious of the space they are taking up. Well, of course, wars have been fought by these people too, but they were driven by a handful of politicos completely out of tune with their cultural ethos. Buddhism explains why an economically poor nation like Bhutan can have the world's highest gross national happiness. After all, what do we want more in life? Only objects, recognition, adventure, or more of peace, love, happiness? The humble stupas will show us the way, braving the winds of the mountain tops, built by nameless pilgrims. They are silent monuments of hope. People are poor in the northeast of India and cannot live in their own cities that have been colonized by the tourism industry. Do they aspire to acquire more and more things or reach a balance as taught by the middle way of Buddha? A lot depends on their exposure. So tourists, please don't come with your noise and litter. Don't live in hotels that cause landslides. Learn ahead about the history and culture of the place you are visiting. Respect the sanctity of the monastery, river, mountain, forest, and the simple life of the locals. Listen to nature. Look at the night sky. Don't put on your own music or chat away. Let the birds sing for you. Let the shy creatures whose homes you are visiting feel safe in their own land. Behave as you would in someone else's house. We are in the house of our elders. These rivers, mountains, and trees have nourished us for centuries. Take back lessons of peaceful coexistence. Don't mindlessly travel around. Be conscious of your footprint. Exercise some restraint. The very first practice of the Yoga Sutra is yama, self-control. And in it, the first lesson is ahimsa. When you return home, nurture silence and expand your heart. World peace starts within.